my channel. Today I'm going to do something that I've sort of done before, but not on my channel, and it is going to be called writing and how I do it. Okie dokie. Writing is a magical and mystical thing that only a privileged few can do. I can't even go through with that without cracking up. Guys, anybody can write. You can write. You that probably doesn't know how to spell can write. Yes, you. You can write. Anybody that wants to write can write. Over my years as a writer, a question that I get quite a bit is that, how do you write? What are your tips and your tricks? How do you manage to write so much? Because I'm gifted. Talent.
I have something to say about that.
But in all seriousness, I think that everyone has their own sort of writing recipe if you want to get all cute with it. I also think that there are things that writer to writer, especially people who have been writing for a long time versus people who haven't and are wanting to get into writing, I do think there are things that we can share that may possibly make the process easier for you and also open your horizons to the possibilities of writing and the different ways that all of us have to write in the first place. I don't think there's any two writers out there that write the exact same way. And it's probably because we're all different people. So it's just like weight loss. Everyone has their own preferred method of losing weight. And what works for some people doesn't work for others. We all have our own willpowers and we all have our own problems in the world. So, I'm just hoping that maybe if I let you guys into my dirty little secrets of how I write, that maybe it'll help you somehow. I don't know. I mean, we can't all be as gifted as I am. Pure talent. One thing that has helped me over the years, and I don't always stick to it, but I do try to find some way to always stick to this. And I think that you should be writing daily. This isn't saying that you should be writing 2,000 words a day or 1,000 words a day. I'm not even saying you should be writing 500 words a day. But you should write. And you should try to write every single day. Your word count is not a good indicator of your skill. Because writing is a muscle. And if you don't exercise that muscle, it grows lax. So the more that you're using it, the more that you're writing, and the more that you're using this muscle, the stronger it gets. So if you were to only write 100 words a day for, say, a month, that's a significant amount of words to write in a month. That, no matter what anybody else's word count is or goal is, that is still a huge number. And it's more than most people that say, hey, I want to write a book. So you're already doing more than most. And you are exercising that muscle. It's about like if you are severely overweight and your first thing is to start walking. Now, there's a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, you're not going to do anything by walking. But the thing is that you're working that muscle. You're working your leg muscles. You're working your glutes. You're working your abs. You're working your arms. you are working those muscles and getting them used to something bigger. Because if you manage to write 100 words a day, there's going to be other days where you say, I should write a little more today. You write 200 words that day, or you write 300 or 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000, depending on where you're at. There have been times where I've managed to write through like 10,000 words in a day, and I was so extremely proud of myself and just like, I am the best writer to exist. And then I read that Stephen King once wrote an entire novel in a night. And I was like, well, not all that, am I? But the truth of the matter is that that was a great number. Just like 100 words is a great number. Just like 50 words is a great number. And these numbers don't have to come from you working on your novel or a short story or anything. It could be a blog post. Blogging is a great way to start writing daily. Journaling is a great way to start writing daily. Just anything that gets your mind going is a good thing for your writing. I don't care how small that number is. That number does not matter. It doesn't. We all love to boast about writing a certain amount each day, but that number really doesn't matter. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. If you can write 2,000 words daily, every single day, that is wonderful. That is amazing. But if you can't, that's also wonderful. As long as you're writing something. Another tip that I have that I also would like to clarify can work either way is when I'm writing, I don't like to edit. I don't like to go back and read over what I'm writing at all. I don't go back to spell check or grammar check or anything when I'm writing. I don't like to look over what I've written. But I have friends that cannot stand to go on to the next page if they know that something is misspelled or that something needs changes in grammar. And I have some friends that are able to sort of be very self-aware and edit as they're writing. And I'm very jealous of that because it would take out so much work for me. But for anyone that's just starting to write, I would suggest that you don't read over what you're writing because it's very easy to get discouraged because it's called a first draft for a reason. I mean, no one ever does anything right the first time. I mean, look at God. Created men and then He created us. You just never do it right the first time. Just a little trivia for you. I'm feeling very sassy today, so I'm very sorry. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Oh yeah. I think that by not reading over what you've written in a first draft of anything helps because you're keeping your focus on going forward instead of going back. So to think of your first draft is to just say, okay, this is the story that's in my head that I have to get out. Your first draft should be you just getting the story out. Getting your beginning, your middle, your end, your conflict, discovering your people, just getting it out there and written so that you can then see the woods for the trees. Your second draft then is to go back and pretend like you knew what you were doing. It's to tell the actual story. Your second draft is where you are able to say, okay, I saw all of this, but only these things were important. This doesn't need to be here. This doesn't need to be here. I need to specify more about this. I need to be more descriptive here. Your second draft is to then figure out what your story actually was and what's needed and what's not needed. When you get to your third draft and your fourth drafts and anything beyond that, especially once you start including beta readers and things like that, is to then figure out what works and what other viewpoints say worked better. Because you could think that 10 pages worth of you describing a leaf is very important to the story and has some metaphorical significance into your book, but your readers are like, well, you just move on. I'm sick and tired of this leaf. I don't care. The leaf doesn't matter. And it's good to have that. Another tip I should give you about being a writer is that you've got to be good at taking critique. If you write a book and your idea of this book is that it's your baby and it puts absolute fear into you that someone may not like it, then you probably shouldn't let anyone read it. And if that's your prerogative, that you go for it, honey. You write for you. But there are some of us out here that want to share it with the world. And whether that's narcissistic or what, I don't know. I'm pretending to think that I am sharing my gift with the world and thereby making it a better place. But, I mean, to each their own. Yeah, if you don't want people to not like your book, you probably shouldn't let anyone read it, because the author is not always right. There's another tip for you. We don't always know exactly what to do. Another tip I have for you as a writer is to find out your safe space. Everyone has their own safe space. Some of us love absolute silence. Some people really like to have loud music coming in. Some people like softer music, like classical music, or movie scores are a great thing for some people. And like where you write. I know some people that just cannot write if there is not action around them. And then there are some people that can't write unless they're completely alone, like in the corner, just in their own little bubble. So finding that place for you is very crucial. And I also say that it will change, because when I first started writing, I used to like to be completely alone, music blaring, to like drown out everything, and that was the only way I could write. Now, I cannot stand to listen to music while I'm writing. I once was a little more into being out like in the kitchen so that I was a part of life. It made me feel like I was a part of life. And now I really do prefer to be just alone, in my own little bubble, completely quiet, and that helps me. But there are still some days where I'm like, okay, everyone's living. Let me write. Another thing is just don't stress about it. Yes, for me, writing is a job. It's my job. It's where I get my income from. It is the thing I'm passionate about. It's my job. But I think that that mentality is both good and bad in certain aspects, because thinking of it as your job is also going to make you more motivated to do that job. But there are some times where thinking of it as a job is also going to make you less passionate about it. And if you find that you're growing less passionate about it, then I say take a break. Because keeping that passion alive to create worlds and to write characters and to tell beautiful stories is something that comes through in your writing. But that's not to say that if you don't feel motivated, don't write, because writer's block is a lie. I'm just throwing that out there for everyone. Writer's block is a lie. Writer's block is simply procrastination at its best. I am the queen of procrastination, so I know this. You can write. It may not be the thing that you're supposed to be writing, but you can write. And one of the good things that I've sort of found with other writers helping me, or like my boyfriend helping me, or just having a support system, is that when I get frustrated with one thing, I usually have the option of either working through that frustration and figuring it out, which is usually the best thing to do. You just don't know where you're going, so it's time to shut up and figure out where you're going. Or switching gears, because there have been a few times where I've written like 2 or 3 novels back to back, and then said, okay, I'm going to start on this novel, and I'm so excited, and everything just goes completely flat, and I'm just exhausted, and I don't want to write it. The thing that sort of happened to get me out of that mindset has always been to then switch up gears. Instead of working to this huge goal, work to a smaller goal. Write a short story. If I'm feeling more adventurous, write a novella. You know, something that is still keeping me writing, even if it's not the thing that I told myself I had to write. It's a good piece of advice for you to take from me, because I took it from other people. If you have any questions or want to know anything else that's more specific, feel free to inbox me anytime. My messages are always open to anyone that needs help. Make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up. My books and social media are in the description box down below. If you are lurking, make sure that you subscribe. And yeah, it's my birthday. Alright, I'm out of here, guys. I love you. Kisses, my darling.